Hi, this is Everett. Everett's Watercolors. Welcome to my studio. Here I am again today on Thursday with Everett's Watercolors. Going to do another watercolor demonstration and discussion. I'm broadcasting live from my studio to Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, and later on to Instagram. And then my studio today with my wife Gloria.
Hello.
And she'll be monitoring the broadcast for me and also checking the chat room. And the chat room's live, so if you have a comment or question, please give me a comment or a question, and I'll go back to you as soon as I can. Even after the broadcast, you can still give me comments on the video in the comment section below the video. You'll see it in the description. So today I'm going to do a landscape painting, and it's one of my favorite ones. I've gone by this particular area almost every week, and I see the building. One of my favorite farm buildings. So I'm going to share that with you, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to paint that. So let's go to my painting table. So I took this photograph last weekend. You can see this farmhouse, and there's a few buildings here in the background, not a barn and so forth. But I wanted to concentrate today on just the farmhouse. It's got a very interesting shape. It's got the building itself, and it's got some nice big trees behind it, and it's got a little roadway, a fence line, and so forth. So I thought it'd be an ideal thing to paint today. And I'm going to do again another loose painting, and I think it'll be very effective. So there's my reference, and I drew up a design here on my sketch pad. You can see here I got the building, and I got the trees and the pathway and the fence line. So that's my design sketch. Based on the photograph and also my recollection of that building as I drive by it all the time. So let me put that aside. Okay, so I transferred that sketch to my watercolor paper. This is Holbein 140-pound cold press, and it measures 15 inches high and 11 inches wide. I put it in a format, in a portrait format today, a little different. Instead of doing a landscape format, I thought I'd do it here with here's the building here and the trees, and I left a little space at the bottom so I can use a little test area for my painting and so forth. So I'll take a paintbrush and a mix of color. I'll go down here at the bottom and I'll test it out before I put it into the painting. So that's why I did it today, and I got my focal point about in this area over here, this section right in this area. Okay, now my material today. I'm using my standard palette with all my watercolors. And up here, I'm going to use Ultramarine Blue up here to the right, a little bit of Cerulean Blue here in the corner, and an Opera. I'm going to put a little Opera into my mixtures. And this is Pyrrole Red. And down here, I got a lemon yellow lemon. And of course, I got yellow ochre. And I got Burnt Sienna. I got some greens over here, green number one and hooker's green down here. Now my brushes, I've got number one flat brush from Holbein. It's a synthetic number one. It's a Holbein gold number 1 inch flat. Really nice brush. And I've got my half-inch brush from Holbein, half-inch flat, and my number 8 round Holbein. These are all synthetic, but they're beautiful brushes. And this is a number 4 rigger with a nice fine point. Comes to a nice fine point. That'll be for some little areas, maybe the wires and the fence and so forth. And I'm going to be using my Silver Brush Hake. This will be to wet the paint or wet the paper so you get started. So let me put the brushes aside here for a second. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to just take plain water, and I'm going to before I do that, let me mix up a few paints here. I'm going to start with the sky. I'm going to mix a little bit of ultramarine blue, and it's a nice. There was no clouds in the sky when I took this photograph, so I'm going to leave it that way, and mix a little bit of cerulean blue with that. A little bit more. I'm going to cover quite a bit of area there. And put a little more cerulean blue. So a mixture of ultramarine and cerulean blue would be a nice light blue color. Okay, now what I'm going to do now, as I go along, I may introduce, as I get further down, let me introduce a little bit of opera, and get in and so forth. So let me get on my test, I'll test my color. Okay, I like that, okay. I did a little test down at the bottom of my sheet here. So at the bottom of the painting is my test area for testing. And you always want to do that when you load your brush and so forth. You want to test the paint out to make sure it's what you want to do. Okay, load my Hake brush, just water in it. And I'll go up here, I'm going to put a little water in the sky, wet up the sky a little bit so I get the paint to flow much smoother. So come down here, come down to just before I get to the building. So it'll be the sky and some of the trees. And spread that water out. And I'm going to spread it out. I can see the shine, a bit of shine on the paper. So the there. Okay, it wets the paper, keeps it nice, it gets it moist. Now I'm going to pick up a loaded brush here of that combination of ultramarine blue and cerulean. And I'm going to go up here and I'm going to put that sky in. And I'm going to go right over top of the trees because they're going to be a darker color. And also I'm going to have some sky holes coming through. So I'm going to go right over top of the trees. Put that blue color in there. So I don't leave any. I'm not going to make any clouds or leave any white paper here. I'm just going to cover up what I have here. And I'll pick up a little more cerulean. And I'm going to come down here to the baseline around this building here. This old farmhouse is one of my favorite. It's got a nice shape to it. It's been here a long time, but it's one of my favorite buildings. I go by it on my travels, on the weekends and so forth, when I'm out doing errands. And I go by this building, and I painted other areas around this farm, but this is the first time I painted this particular barn or this farmhouse. This is the first time. So this will be a brand new painting for me to do here, and I'm going to have a good time. So I'll come right on down here to the bottom, right down to the horizon line, just basically. Okay. Okay, I got the sky in there. Now, what I'm going to do now, I'll let that dry a little bit. While I'm doing that, I'm going to mix up a little. Now, I'm going to paint over top of the farmhouse. I'm going to mix a little bit of opera in with that blue, and you see it's going to give me a nice purpley color. Nice purple. And I'm going to come over here and pick up a little bit of yellow lemon. And that's going to gray that down a little bit. So, you know, when this is a white farmhouse, but I'm not going to paint it. I'm not going to leave it white. I'm going to put a color in here that I think will make it much better. And of course, I got a shadow side and I got a light side, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in. So I'll come down and get a little more blue in here, a little bit more of that opera. Mix it in, get that purple look. And I'll pick up a little bit of that yellow. And now that will gray it down a little bit in some areas. Okay, now I'm going to take that color there. I'm going to go right ahead. I'm going to go right ahead and paint in the building itself. And I'm going to use that side. There's a light side and a dark side, so I'm going to use this as a light side. I'm going to come down here on this side of the building. This is the shadow side, so I'm going to put that. It's got I got like a purple, grayish purple, mixture of opera and cerulean blue and ultramarine blue. Gives me a little purple color. So I'm going to pick up a little more of that. Pick up a little more of the opera there. Maybe put a little more red in there in some place. So I'm going to make this a variable color, and I'll pick up a little more of that yellow lemon. Bring that in there. So I'm going to make this a white color with different colors in it. And I'll go back to that opera and gray color. And it's going to dry. It's going to dry lighter as it dries, as watercolor always does. Okay, so I can go ahead and let that dry a little bit. And let that dry by itself. The top part is dry. I leave that dry by itself. And you notice here I'm going to leave this side of the building. Well, I got the light coming from this direction, from left to right. So I'm going to leave this side here open, just the way it is. And I think I'll bring a little bit of this gray on this side over here. Shadows over here on these trees on the side. There's some trees on the side. So I'll put a little bit of that color in there. Okay.
Raisin Heart had picked up a virus this week, so we want to send well wishes to her.
Oh, that's okay.
Feel better soon.
Hope you're feeling better. Take care. Get lots of rest and drink water, lots of fluids. Okay. So I got that color there, and what I can do is I may want to, here's another thing I use. I usually, after I get the paint down there on this other side here, I may want to lift up just a little bit of it. So I'm going to take a tissue, plain tissue, I folded it, and lay it on top, just lightly dampen, just lightly tap that, and then pull it up. That way it gives me a little lighter color, a little less pigment here on the top. But I want a light color here. And I got multicolor. I got blue, I got the yellow, I got the opera in there, and I got the yellow. So it's a kind of mixture there on the shadow side. Okay. Now I think I'm going to go ahead. I'm probably going to cover I want to cover the white paper is what I want to do. It's my whole intention here is to cover the white paper. So I'm going to now I'm going to paint in the landscape part here, which is the ground, and I think I'll mix a little bit of. Here I got green number 1 down at the bottom. Green number 1. I got a little bit of that. A little bit of green number 1 here at the bottom. And then I'm going to pick up a little bit of yellow ochre, because the grass on the ground is starting to turn a little bit brown, but there's still a bit of green there, but it's kind of a mixture. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in here at the bottom. And I can go right over top of those fence posts. They're going to be darker anyway, so again, that doesn't matter. So this is a kind of a loose painting today. You just kind of get the paper covered. Pick up a little more of the, little bit of yellow ochre. Turn that green a little bit brownish in there, because the grass is starting to dry, getting a brownish color. The greens are going away because it's later in the fall. So picking up a little bit of yellow ochre on top of that green, that yellow, light green, green number 1. Green number 1 is a very light color, and it's good for spring. It's a good spring color, but this is not spring. We're talking about fall. So I got a little bit of brown mixed in with that green. And I'm going to come right up here on this side and come right on down. Yeah, let's see. Now put a little more. I'm going to put some little tufts of green in there, give it a variety. And I'll pick up a little bit of yellow ochre. So get a nice mixture in there. Get a nice mixture. You can see there the grass is a kind of a greenish brown. Okay, now to come forward. There's a little bit of taller grass, a little bit darker. So I'm going to start, as I come forward, I'm going to get a little bit darker on my grass. So I'm going to come in here and put, let me pick up a little bit of blue on that. A little bit of, mix that ultramarine blue in with that green. Okay, so I'm going to spread that out now, and I'll use the side of my brush. Give me a rough brush stroke. And make it look like grass while I come up along the side. Using the corner of the brush here, and it's kind of scraping motion. Using the corner to make it a rough brush stroke. To give a little bit of texture there. So there's a little bit of tall weeds here growing up around these around this fence post. So that'll indicate that. That'll get that in there. Okay. And then the road itself, it's a little pathway, and I'm going to use a little bit of this yellow ochre and pick up a little bit of my favorite Burnt Sienna. And I'm going to do a little dry brush now. And dry brush, I keep the brush flat on the paper and drag it, and it gives me a nice textured look. And as the faster you go, the more texture you get. Let me try that a little bit more. So this is the bottom of the pane. I'm not worried about that at all. Some more grass over here on this side. So yeah. Okay. All right. So now I've basically got the first. I got the baseline in. I got the first wash in there. It's kind of a light wash, and I got the blue sky shadow on the building. Left the other side. Left the front side where the light comes on. And now what I'm going to do now, I'm going to start darkening up the areas around. Now the trees, let's start a little bit with the trees. So I'm going to mix a lot of greens. There'll be some light greens, there'll be some dark greens, and some in between. So I'm going to take a little bit of that yellow, mix in here. And I go up here and get a little bit of that ultramarine blue. Come down here. So I want a nice variety of greens. I'll take a little bit of yellow ochre. Come in here and get a dull green. Okay. So I got quite a mixture of different colors, different values of green. Okay. Now I'm still using the number one, the flat brush. 1-inch flat brush. So I haven't changed brushes yet. So starting with the trees now, I'll go ahead and let's start over here. Let's start over here on the left side. And I think what I'll do is this will be a little bit darker over here. And so I'm going to use the corner of the brush. Give me watching the edges now. Give me a little texture there for trees. A little bit of irregular shape, and I'll leave some sky holes here a little bit from the sky. Then I'll come on down here to this building. Okay, now what I'm going to do now, I'm going to switch brushes. Now my 1/2 inch flat brush, it'll have there's a lot more control with a smaller brush. So as I come down here next to the building, I'm going to come down, and I'm going to I'll move this over so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to come down. There's the edge of the building. I'll come right down. Now just by using a flat brush, I get a nice straight sharp edge, and that's that rooftop right there. And come up here to the top of the roof, And come down the side of the building, side of the porch. There's a porch on the front part of this building, barn, house. This is the farmhouse. So there's a front porch. Like I grew up on a farm, and we had front porch. We had this porch all the way around the house, over 2/3 of the house. We had a porch. These old farmhouses, they all had porches. Of course, we had a swing on the front porch and side porch, so it was lots of memories about that, sitting on a porch. And I think this is the side of the building here, right here. Come down, yeah. Okay, so that takes care of that tree area. Then I'll come up here. I'm going to use the smaller brush here, the inch. I'll come up here. I'm going to get the top of the roof up here, next to there's 2 chimneys on the top of this building. There are 2 chimneys. I'll come over here like that. That'll take care of that. So that's the left side of the building. That's the tree in the background. And I may play with it a little bit, but let the paint dry slightly. I'll come back and may want to play with it. Now I'm going to change the colors a little bit. Get a little duller here. Now I'm going to change the color. So pick up a little bit of that dull green, which was a mixture of green number 1 and yellow ochre. Gives me a dull green. More on the yellow side, but duller. Not a bright green at all. And gonna leave a few more sky holes on this one over here. I think I'll leave a few more branches showing, and we'll do that when I get the leaves on. There's still leaves on, so we'll leave those alone. So we'll leave more sky holes over here, so I can put some more branches in there for you. And the change of color. And when I'm going down over here, let's see, on this side, there's another chimney on this side of the building. I'll come down here and right on the edge here. And I'll come over here and get this side of the right next to that chimney, the top of the roof. Okay. Let's see if there's anything here I can do with the. Now I've got the palette knife. I'm going to try to scrape in some shapes here. Now this is a technique here where you can. I'm going to show some branches here on this particular tree here by scratching them out. So I'm going to put in some branches, and I just it was scraping out the shape. And because the paint's still wet, what's going to happen is it's going to show up as a dark. It's going to show up as a dark shape because the palette knife moves the paint aside. Okay, so I'll use the palette knife on that side, all right? And I think what I'll do now, make sure this, I'm going to fill that section. I don't want to leave a little gap like that, so I'm going to fill that in. Okay, and then come down here and leave this open. I got a few sky holes in that particular one there, and I might put a few more branches, a few more leaves on this one over here, and leave a nice big sky hole there. And I'll come up here to the edge of the rooftop with a 1/2-inch brush, which does a nice job. Yeah, checking the edges. I like the way the edges are going. I like that. You want a nice irregular edge. Looks like a tree. If it looks like a tree, it must be a tree. Okay, now I'm going to go back to my larger brush now, and I'm going to put in this this larger tree over here. So, and I'm going to mix up a little darker mix. Put more blue into that green, and mix it in with that dull green. So there's going to be kind of a combination. So now I'm using, again, on the edges, I'm going to use the side of the brush here to make a little definition. Using the corner of the brush, the side of the brush gives you a nice a way to make texture. And definition on the edge of a tree, you want to have a little bit of a variety of edges, a variety of shapes. This is a bigger tree, so it's going to have, again, we're going to have a variety of sizes. This is like a small, it's like a small and a medium, and this is not a large size. And I'll leave some sky holes in this one also. coming over here to this side. It's a nice a big tree behind this barn or house. Yeah, the house and the barn all run together. You got the little sheds and little storage sheds and equipment sheds that are on the back of this house that holds the equipment and supplies and so forth. So it all kind of integrates together as a farm. And this is a working farm. They grow lots of vegetables and fruits here, strawberries and corn. And they used to have cattle here, but I haven't seen those around. I think they sold out on the cattle and went straight to the vegetables and fruit, which is strawberries. They grow pumpkins. Now we're getting down close to the building again, so I'm going to come down with my half-inch brush to get closer. As I get to the rooftop. There's another chimney on this little shed here in the back. A little out shed on the back of this house. There's a little shed attached. And it's got a little chimney also. So that's probably a little living quarters for somebody in the family. Okay. And then my last one here. I'm going to go back to that dull green again. Put a little more yellow ochre in this one over here again. This tree's a little closer. Starting to turn a little bit brown with the fall. Still lots of leaves on them though. I mean, they haven't gone yet. And let's see, I'll switch brushes here. I want to get close to this building. Now there's a little I'm going to put a little overlap here on this building here. I'll come over here, have this tree kind of overlap the corner of this shed over here. And have it come down. I'm kind of playing around with the shapes of the trees. These were big old, you saw from the picture there in my reference photograph, there was a lot of trees here in the background. So I like trees. I love to paint trees, so I have a good time. Okay. All right, so I got the trees behind the barn, or behind the building. Okay, now what I'm going to do now is darken up the house itself. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the number 6 round, and I'm going to get some darker color. So what I'm going to do here is mix my my standard combination of ultramarine blue and mix that in with burnt sienna. It'll give me a dark color, dark brown. So ultramarine blue, burnt sienna gives me a dark brown, or I can go all the way to black if I wanted to. And so what I'm going to do now is put the rooftops in. So what I'm going to do in here now is go ahead and there's a rooftop over here. On this part of the house. And then it's going to come down. There's another roof overhang here on this section. This part's in shadow right here. I'll go here on this little shed here, this little building here, a little section, a little shed here in the back, or a little room that they've added on to this building is back here. I'm putting the rooftop in with this dark color, the dark color roof. this tree here overlaps part of the roof, so I'm going to go ahead and put in a couple of shadows here. Okay. Now what I want to do now is lighten that up a little bit. So I'm going to use a little bit of maybe a little bit of Payne's gray, just a light tint, a light tint up here on the front roof here. So this part of the roof is in sunlight, so it's going to be a little bit lighter than the part in shadow. It's still a dark material, but it's going to be lighter because the sun is shining on it over here. Okay. Okay. Then I think what I'll do is I'm going to put this tree trunk in over here. There's a tree trunk right here. Make that a dark brown. Up to the edge. And I'm going to put in some windows now. Let's see. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to do a couple things. I'm going to use a waterproof pen. This is my ink pen. It's got waterproof ink in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the pen and I'm going to outline the windows just a little bit. Just get a little definition. So this is waterproof ink. So I can paint watercolor over top of it and it won't harm anything. It also gives me lots of control. Lots of control of drawing in that shape. I'll put this window over here, get the outline of the window. So I'm using waterproof ink, black ink. And I put a window down there. So outlining these windows will be a little easier to see them and define that structure. Okay. Then there's a pole right here too. I want to put that in. There's a right at the edge of this building. There's really a pole of the porch. Along with this one over here. Okay. And I'm going to put now simplify there's more windows in the photograph than I'm doing here. I'm just going to simplify. Just put enough windows here. There's one here on the first floor. On the bottom floor here is a window, a large window. I'll put that in. And there's a little window back here on the shed, a little extension, little shed or little apartment or something back there. And then put a little edge on these chimneys up here. I'm going to paint those different colors in a minute. I'm going to go just put an edge on that. Okay. And also I think what I'll do is I'll put the eaves. There's an eave along here of this top of this. I'm going to put an eave. There's an eave right here on the porch. And also I think I'll put an eave down here on this. There's an eave right here on this part of the building right there. Okay. So it gives a little more definition. I don't have to spend a lot of time on painting that in, but just to give you the direction. And then there's a little edge on this building here. It goes out. And that building goes back. Okay. Okay. So I use a little bit of waterproof ink to define that. Let it dry a little bit. Let me go ahead and put in the fence post. So I'm going to use a round brush, number 8 round brush. And I'm going to go in and put in using the mixture of ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. Give me a nice dark brown. And I'll start with this one right here. This one's up here in front of the building, in front of the house. There's one way in the back here. I'll stick that in. And as I come forward, this one's going to overlap a little bit. So that way it pushes the building back. By putting something overlapping like this, it pushes the building back into the back part of the painting. Gives it depth. We'll put another one over here. There's another post here. I'm going down, and I got one more out here. Yeah, I made these posts kind of, they're kind of all the same, and they really are. I just didn't want to spend too much time on designing the posts, so I'll just go ahead and put the posts in and just show the size and the dimension, and just the fact that it's in front of the, this is in the foreground of the painting right there. Okay, that's pretty straight. That's just pretty kind of straight now. I haven't messed up anything yet. Let's see. Okay, I'm trying to keep this one kind of plain today. I don't want to get too carried away with a lot of information, but I'm going to play around with a couple of things. Okay, so what I'm going to do, first of all, I'm going to darken in some of these windows. The windows, some of them got shades in, so I'll put in, I think I'll shade this one up here. I'll put the shade in the bottom of this one, and this one I'll put the shade at the top, kind of vary that a little bit. A shade there, and then on this one I'm going to shade the bottom again. And over here, I think I'll put a partial shade here on this one. Okay, and the one back here, I'm going to put a shade in the top. Okay. Okay. Now one thing I like to do is also on those chimneys, what I'm going to do with the chimneys. This is my impact area over here on this side. So the darkest contrast is going to be here, but also I'm going to put some more color. So I'm going to take my Pyrrole Red, and I'm going to put the red chimneys over. In the photograph they're white, but I'm going to make them red, so they show up a little more. So that one there, this is the front side of that chimney, and there's a little chimney back here. This is the front. Even this has a little bit of light shining on it. There's the one back there. So those chimneys now pop out on the house. Okay, it gives a little bit of character, and let that dry before I put the backside shadow part in. Okay, now I've got the number 4 rigger, and what I'm going to use that for, I'm going to put in my pencil line. I could use my my ink pen, but I'm going to use the rigger. That's what the rigger is used for drawing lines, thin lines. So I'm going to load my rigger up on the side. I'm using a little bit of Payne's Gray mixed in with that dark brown. Okay, I roll my brush to get a nice thin line, and I'm going to come down here now at the bottom, and I'm going to make sure I'm going to practice a couple strokes here. Okay, see, that's just a straight line. That's going to be my fence. That's going to be my fence line. So what I'm going to do now is just kind of draw in a fence line, and I'm going to start right here. And it's going to be a large wire, but it's going to be a wire. Down there. And I'm going to connect this one over here. This fence post. And I'm going to connect this one. That wire running there. And the one way in the back, I'm going to have that connected. It's going to come down here, and this will come down here. Okay, that'll give us some. That'll give the fence line some dimension, and also give the painting a little bit of direction and distance. Then I'm going to draw this one now. When I say draw, it's what when I paint, I'm drawing. When I'm drawing, I'm painting. When I'm painting, I'm drawing. So I'm going to draw this line into this side here. So I'm going to continue with this. This will be almost parallel now. This will be almost level with the horizontal line. We'll put that there. and this one will come down. This will come down. This won't be a horizontal. This will be a little bit sloped down because it's in perspective. It's a little bit down from the horizontal line, so it's going to slope down slightly. Okay, and then we have I'm just going to wipe it off because there's another post out here, but I'm just going to continue on. So this would continue on as a straight line. And this here would also start to flatten out a little bit, just a little bit, not much. Okay. And let's see. I'm checking out wet paint. No, okay. So I used Pyrrole Red on the front edge or front side of the chimney because that's the sun side. Now the shadow side of the chimney is going to be a alizarin crimson, and that's a dark, bold red, very rich red, and that's going to be the back side of the chimney, or the shadow side. I'll put that in here, right here, and you'll see the difference of those reds. A light red for the sunside side, and a dark red for the shadow side. Okay, I'll bring that up here. So you can see the reds come out really nice. It really pops that building out. I think that my focal point's here, so I wanted that to be another kind of indication. Yeah, I don't want to mess any more with the house. I could play around with some designs and so forth, but I think I want to keep it plain. I don't want to get too carried away with that. I want to keep it simple. I think what I'll do, I can add some tree trunks and stuff to the trees. I think I'll do that, and I'll use my rigger brush. So I'll get a little more burnt sienna mixed in with the ultramarine blue. Kind of a grayish brown. Now this over here didn't really show up as much as I wanted, so I'm going to go ahead and put in. I'm going to put in some darker marks here. I'll put in some of these limbs and part of the trunk down here to show off a little bit. And then I'll put a couple trunks over here. So I got some sky holes, so I can go ahead and put in some branches. Branches and twigs. And I can put in maybe indication of a trunk over here. Okay, just put some limbs in there, and that tree make it look real. And of course, the big one here, put some trunks, put some branches in here also. So I'll go up to these sky holes and put some branches in there. I get carried away. Not too carried away. Just indicate a few branches, a few twigs. Tie some of that together. Okay. And what I can do down here. Along this road, along the roadway here, I think I'll take a little more of that green. A little bit of hooker's green mixed in with a little bit of that dark mix up here on the top, get a little darker green. And then I'm going to go down here and make a little some grass strokes here, just to get started with a few things. Get some grass around these poles. And I'll take my rigger brush and put some variety in there. Just indication of some weeds, some tall grass along the edge of the road, next to the fence posts. Okay. Farmhouse. All right. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to put a frame around that. I don't think I want to mess. I've pretty well defined what I wanted to do. Let's see, the front of the house. I got the front of the house pretty well defined what I want. What I can do is take some of this darker green, and I can come over here and I'll really get some more. I'm going to turn my paint a little bit. I'm going to put some more contrast over here, next to the white. Next to the lightest part of the building, right there. More shadow, more dark foliage there next to the house, next to that white. And what that's going to do is make that white come out a little bit more. A little more contrast around the impact area. Now I think I'll get some in here. This could be a tall bush. This could be a tall, dark bush behind. Could be an evergreen bush or something behind this side of the house. But I want to bring that up a little bit, make it a little more dark around that. This edge right in here is my impact area. So I want to have a little more definition over there, a little more contrast. So I'm adding a little darker value on this part of the building over here, showing up against that white. Showing up against that white. Okay, and let me bring this up. Just vary that bush a little bit. Okay, and I don't want to get too carried away over here, but this one here could be a little more in shadow, maybe just slightly around this little shed, a little add-on they have on the building. We'll put this in there, just a little more contrast, a little more dark and lights. Okay. And I think over here, what I want to do now is just the last step I want to do is over here on the bottom. I'm going to put a little darker color. This is low bushes and lower trees here behind this section here. These are background trees and bushes along the edge of the farm over here. And not going into too much detail, but just to fill that in, just fill that little light area over there. I like to, on the edges of my paintings, I like to have a little dark areas and not light. I want darker on the sides. Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to put a matte board around this, and I got it right here, baby. I'm gonna put a mat board around this. Let me try it this way, or this way. I can try it both ways. I'm gonna now what I can do is, if I like, I just cut off the piece I want to cave. If I want to frame this, I'd cut it down to the pieces I want to save, and then this doesn't exactly fit perfectly, but it gives you an idea. If I bring that down, of a framed painting with a much more definition. Okay, so that's kind of where I left it off today, of the farmhouse. And I can go back in later on if I wanted to and probably darken up some areas, add some more colors here and there. Now if I want to go this way, if I wanted to go vertical, I could come in here with and I could put some more stuff down here at the bottom. I could put a mailbox or something like that at the bottom, or rocks or something down here on this side, or another fence post. Or I could frame it like that on this side. Okay, so I get a couple options. I can frame it this way or frame it the other way, horizontal. Okay, well let's go back to my main camera. Oh, let me sit down. Back to my main camera. Okay, well that was my fun today to paint the farmhouse. One of my favorite buildings that I drive by a lot on my chores. When I go get gas in the truck or gas in the car, or when I go out for plein air painting, I'll go by this building a lot. So I decided to take a picture of it. Number one, it was early in the morning and the sunshine was hitting the front of the house, and it was nice and light, and the background trees, and I said, wow. I said, it's not a perfect picture, I said, but I can have fun drawing it up and painting it, and that's what I did today. And I kept it kind of loose. I didn't. You notice my brush strokes, and I covered the sky and the trees just with colors. I left some sky holes for the trees, and I left that front side of the building lighter, and I put shadow colors. I used the red, yellow, and blue, a combination of blue, cerulean blue, opera red, and a yellow lemon. Red, yellow, and blue, 3 colors. And you can get a good combination out of that. You get purples, and you can get oranges and blues and greens and so forth. And then I went in with, remember, I also went in with my permanent ink pen and did some outlining of the windows and so forth. So that concludes my drawing today, or my drawing. It's no mixture for me, because when I draw, I paint, and when I paint, I draw. They're both interchangeable as far as I'm concerned. I'll be back again next week on Thursday to do another painting, another demonstration. Hopefully you'll join me on that. Give me a thumbs up and a like. I appreciate that. And also this evening I'll be back at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Simply Drawing with Everett. And I think you'll enjoy that also. A little short program tonight, 7:30 p.m. And then on the weekend I've got on Sundays I release a little drawing identified as simply, anyone can draw with one line only. Anyone can draw with one line only. And it's true. And I'll show you how I do my one-line drawing, and you can try that out yourself. And you can post it on my my Facebook page, Everett's Watercolors Art Group, on my Facebook page. So until next week, you all stay safe. The weather's getting nice and cool outside. Get outside and enjoy the weather. There's no rain in sight as far as we know. The rain is far enough away. It's just getting cooler at night. Good sleeping weather. So until next week, you all stay safe, and we'll see you on the next live video. You all take care.